of rules that you use it to enhance your Windows server environment. Even on workstation, you can set up some rules, but in the enterprise environment, we need something resilience, something scalable, because if you imagine you have like 150 users in your organization, do you want to go to each computer or to each user? See, I said user or computer, because we can put policies on user or on computer. Which is easier, to go to each user and configure the group policy, or to do it centrally from the server? Of course, to do it from the server, to administrate from the server. Type, I have a question for you. Can we say that group policy is a security feature only? Do you think it's only a security feature? Well, it has some other benefits. Like what? Saving time. So I just mentioned, instead of doing the setup for 100 users, 500 users, some organization, they have thousands of users. So let's say you want to come up with a rule that all users are not allowed to use their USB to connect removable drives. Okay, so you can set it up just from the domain, and we will do this in the lab, inshallah. So it's not only a security tool, it's also to increase performance and productivity, all right, and save time. Very good. Right. As I just mentioned here, some of the options for group policy is you can set up access the user, or you can set up or configure rules for the computer. So there are two scopes, either user or either computer. How do we do that? We need to add the role, and then we need to access it. How do we access you remember from our previous sessions, how do we access the role after we install it? From where? To remind you, on the top right, tools. Very good. So you go to tools. How did we access users and groups? Which tool did we use last time in our lab? Active Directory, users, and organizational units. Oh, sorry. Active Directory, groups, and organizational units. Okay. So same thing with the group policy. You go to tools, and then you can access it from there. What is another way to do it? And Windows, they are trying to encourage the use of this tool here, to use the admin center. عارفين ليش? You know why? And I investigated why Microsoft now they are pushing people to use the admin center. Now Microsoft, they are transferring everything to the Azure, to the cloud. Okay. Well, if you go to the cloud, to the Azure in the cloud, you will see that they are using similar interface to the admin center. This is inside the news. So in the future, they are pushing people to use the admin center. All right? Very good. So group policy is a Windows Server feature. And by the way, it started before. It's not only in Windows 2019. It is there in Windows 2012, 2008, and the previous versions of Windows. Okay? So they can use it to configure user accounts, computer account, access to peripherals, printers, add devices. Okay? How do we manage the group policy? We have just mentioned you can go to the tools or to the admin center, open the group policy. Okay, you see this here, group policy management, click and open it. Okay, or from the admin center, administrative tools. Any questions? There is another way you can access it. Instead, if you are using the core, the command line, and some people, they like to use commands instead of going, they're very, very, very fast, and they like to just type the command, they memorize the command. You can just type GPMC اللي هي Group Policy Management Console .MSC اوكي اللي هي مايكروسوفت اللي هي Management Snap In. This will start the same screen for you. We'll start the Group Policy Management Tools. Any questions? Any? Okay. طيب. So how do you access the Group Policy Management Console from the Server Manager? Also the same thing. You can open your Server Manager, and then you go to Tools. Then you choose Group Policy Management. As you can see, we have shown you all the possible ways to access the group policy. Type the group policy configuration values. Actually, we are dealing with computer, so everything at the end is converted into binary, zeros and ones. So the same thing with the group policy. The group policy is either set to on or off. On, there's a value, specific value. We put this value in a specific place, we call it a register. So if the value is set up, let's say, for example, 1, this means that this rule is applied. If you set it off, the value it is becoming 0, 0. And the rule is there, but it's not applied. So maybe like sometimes we come up with a rule, but still not in our life. There's, let's say, someone proposed a rule, but it's not applied. It's still for discussion, but we know it is there, but it's not applied yet. It's not enforced. Once you set the register, let's say, to this value 1, then it is enforced. Is it clear? What you have the policy, but still not enforced. Okay. So this is an important point. To configure the value, this is what I have just informed you. Let's say here, can you see this policy? What is it? What is the policy itself? Here on top, the disable changing home page settings. You don't want your home page to be changed. You want all the computers in the lab to open with the same homepage. Okay, so how do you configure that? You go to your GPO, you choose this object, نسميها object. الpolicy نسميها object, group policy object. Here, you can find it here, and this is the name of the group policy. You can search for it, you can find where it is. Disable changing home page setting. You see what are the options? Not configured. موجود, it is there but not activated. Enabled, اللي هو تذكر I told you register will become 1. It's enforced and enabled. The third one is disabled. You don't want it to be there. It was enabled, but now I don't want it. I don't want to use it. Okay. So this is the GPO. Any questions? Okay, now we'll talk about, so we talked about the values. Now we will talk about processing the GPO. As you know, we said that GPO is a rule. But what if I have 5 rules? How they are applied? Who will get the priority? Who do you think will get the priority? Let's make it an open question. You think which rule will have the priority? The global policy, domain policy, will an OU policy, will a local domain policy? Domain policy. What do you think? That's one point. Very good. Local domain policy. MashaAllah. Okay. Local domain policy هي التنفيذ. زي ما احنا في قانون لسه عالمي وفي عندي قانون خاص بالمنطقه او بالآية اللي يطبق المحلي. بعدين تطلع فاحنا we have a set of rules. يعني it's not left for chance. عارف in programming we have rules. The computer understands rules. For the computer, for the server, this is the order of application of the priority of applying the group policy rules. Local GPO. This is your local computer GPO. Then we have site GPO. Then you have the domain. Then you have the OIL. There are more, but for our scope, we are only limited to this one. So easy to remember them, LSBO. LSBO. So and I'll give you an example. Whatever is the domain, rules have. Whatever policy on the domain. Okay? You are not allowed to use remote removable device, and you have your local laptop, you are using it, and you have administrator rights into your laptop. You have the right, because you have administrator, you paid or you can configure it to access the USB if you are administrator. So whatever you configure will take priority. You understand it now? What? Priority, what do you mean by priority? All right. Processing the GPO, there are two, for a computing perspective, GPOs are applied in the following two ways. On the local computer, here the GPO is configured on the local computer, or the domain computer, this is configured on the domain controller. Yani, if you are accessing your computer locally, you are not connected to the domain, then the local policy will apply to you. If you are connected to the domain, if you remember in our lab, we installed Active Directory and our username changed to administrators, huh? Because we are connecting to the domain. Once we connect to the domain policy will apply on us. Okay? So now the question will arise. Okay? I already mentioned that you can also manage your group policy using MMC, Microsoft Management Console, and we can access it either from the GUI, from tools, then we choose group policy, or we can access it from administrative center, or we can type the command. What was the command? Who remember? GPMSC, very good. GPMSC. Yes, very good. Group policy group policy mmc.msc. You don't have to remember this command because, thanks God, we can use the GUI tools. But if you are installing Windows Core, you don't have the luxury of having a GUI. You have to remember the commands. Okay. Now let me ask you. And let's say I have created a group policy for my user. I have just created a group policy for my user, and my user is already logged in. When is this new group policy will be applied? What do you think? Straight away? When? Who is already logged in now? When he logged out or she logged out and then log in again, it will be applied. Okay? So if you are applying a policy for a user, it will be only applied and effective once he log out and log in. Let's say we have put a rule for restriction to access this room, but someone is already in. So once they leave the room and they want to come back, then the rule will apply to them. The same thing with group policy. Okay. But what about if I create group policy specifically for the computer? When it will be applied? My computer is on now. I have started my computer. and then my admin has just created a new rule for computers. Will it be applied and immediately affect my computer? No. When it will be in effect? Very good. When you shut down and when you restart your computer, it will be effective. Okay, so please, this is very important. User GPOs for user will be effective once the user log out and log in. If a group policy object is applied to a computer, it will take effect after the computer is restarted. Any questions on this? This is very important. And you will notice it when we create the group policies. Okay, so here we have another command. They're saying that you can use a command to enforce the group policy. Let's say I have created a group policy and I want to enforce it now. Okay, I use this command, اللي هو gp update /force. Do you know the command we used before, ipconfig? Here we use similar format, but we put the command gp update /force. /force شو بتعمل? What does it do? It will apply the changes now. I don't want to wait until the next interval, the next time my DNS for my computer is restarted or refreshed. Okay? I have another point. Now, what if we say that we have already agreed that the scope of my GPO can apply to the user or to the computer? These are the only two scopes. Remember them. Okay? So I have created a GPO. I went to the group policy management. We created a GPO. What will it affect my network? I عملت GPO خزنت. I saved it on my server. It will not affect now because I did not apply it. يعني أنا عملت قرار. I have created a rule. I saved it, but still I did not tell my server where to apply it. So there are two steps for creating a group policy. First, you create your group policy using the group policy editor. The second step is you need to decide where you are going to apply it. Are you going to apply it to the OU? Are you going to apply it to the domain? You got the point. Huh? Now I think it's easier now. And when we do the lab, there are faster ways to do that. Yani you can, مثلا, let's say I want to create a group policy for my OU, specifically for this OU. So what are the two steps that I have just mentioned? First, you go to the group policy editor and create the GPO. So then you go to your OU and link that GPO to the OU. I will apply it. The rule I will apply. Think of GPO as a rule. This rule I will apply only to this OU. نسميها link. Applying in GPO نسميه link. Okay. So in the lab, inshallah, what we will do, we are going to link a GPO to an OU. Okay. And there's a faster way to do it. Here, you click on the OU, and then you right click. You can put link and OU, link and edit, link, create and link and a GPO to this OU. Here straight away you are creating and linking it to this OU. تمام؟ علي عندك سؤال؟ All right. So you have to remember the order of applying the OUs. You have to remember the two steps, things to remember from this class, just to recap. What are the two main steps of creating and linking a GPO? First, you edit your group policy, create it. Then you link it to an OU, to a domain, to a site, When you link, it will be, once you link it, it is applied. Okay, once you link it, it is applied. We also said that there is an option to enforce applying the APO now, اللي هو اللي هي /enforce. Okay, /enforce will apply your group policy to your system, and we will try this in our lab. Okay, any questions? So now let us start, please, our lab. Start your virtual machine. Connect to your virtual machine, please.